I'll just come out hot and say that I think Generation 10 is going to be announced in the Presents, and it's going to be released in February on Pokemon Day.
Okay,
So,
let's unpack this, because I have been seeing this quite.
We can't move on from that, yeah.
Yeah, I've been seeing this around. And give me your points. Give me your points. Give me your whatever.
Okay, so basically, the main thing is that they've never announced something before this far in advance, not even close. Like, I'm pretty sure at most it's only been like a few days like before an actual Presents when they announced it. And to me, that means that this is going to be the biggest Pokemon Presents ever.
Well,
bro, wild.
I mean, because of the announcement, because I think that this is going to be preparing for Pokemon Day. They're going to make the biggest Pokemon Day ever, which might be bigger because they're going to release it. So also the Switch 2 has to be released. So and they need games on the Switch 2. But basically they also didn't, like, people also keep saying, well, they're cramming the releases in too quickly, but we just had a few years ago, we had BDSP, we had Legends Arceus, and Scarlet and Violet all right together, and that was because of COVID. I think they had, like, people couldn't work, there were shortages on parts, and I was reading something that there's a shortage on semiconductors or something like that right now for the Switch 2, and there could be delayed until 2026. But basically,
I hear you.
Yeah.
Anything else? Like, just any other any other points, and then I have some ideas.
For Gen 10, yeah.
For Gen 10, yeah.
Yeah. No, you can go ahead.
Yeah. So the thing, I don't know. For me, I just find it hard to believe that they would rock the boat. They've got a pretty consistent release schedule. Like, literally, Scarlet and Violet has become, what was it, the second best-selling Pokemon game of all time? Like, that's not something to scoff at, right? Like, in Sword and Shield, we're literally, I think it's number 3, right? So, I guess what I think about is, like, what is the benefit of changing that now, right? Pokemon is super conservative. What is the benefit for them to all of a sudden announce a game now in lead up to Legends
Nintendo
EA
as well?
Yeah, in lead up to, like, we know Legends EA is going to come out, and then so what? Like, not if they announce it now, in my mind, that would distract from Legends EA, and then also a release on. I'm not saying it's impossible, because you are right about the weirdo release of BDSP and Legends Arceus. I do think that was kind of a specific case, and I also think those games kind of went hand in hand. And I think because they went hand in hand, they're both Sinnoh games, and they're both kind of counterparts to each other. I don't know. I don't see there being a connection between ZA and Generation 10 being crammed in that space. I could much more believe. Let me just finish the thought. I could much more believe, like, Legends EA being released alongside, like, an X and Y port. Like, that's something I've been yelling about for the last year, because it would be just a nice to have, and, you know, there's rumors of this other hidden game, so to me that kind of makes sense, and maybe that's what we see. But I guess the what was I going to say? Oh, the other thing is that I'm now old enough to remember watching YouTubers get excited and say the same thing that I'm hearing now 10 years ago for the 20th year anniversary, where people were like, they should release the game on the 20th year anniversary. They should release Sun and Moon or whatever the new game is in February, because, then we can play the game year round. And that didn't happen. And I remember, or maybe it was it could have been the 25th anniversary. I forget. But, like, I feel like I've heard that argument, and while
kind of did it for the 25th.
What was the
20th? Legends Arceus, they released that.
Oh, was it?
In January.
So maybe it was the 20th anniversary, or maybe it was. I
think you're right. I think it was the 20th anniversary, because you had that gap year in 2015. And so a lot of people were like, there's a gap year because they're about to drop it on February.
And I believe
do remember, like, discussion.
I believe that. I guess what my point is, like, I just don't see a benefit. That like my question is, what would be the benefit of releasing it early? You know, I don't know, and I guess maybe the benefit is just more games on Switch too. Because I mean, I guess
I think like the main benefit is that if they will have more time. If you think about it, if the game comes out on Pokemon Day, it's massive. Yeah. All the Pokemon fans are gonna buy it, and then throughout the year, they need something to promote the Switch too. And they're going to get more sales. Then they get the holiday sales also. So they get the big sales on Pokemon.
Yeah, maybe DLC is at the end of the year or something.
Yeah, positive reception. And then if they get 1 million sales on Christmas time, and that could be the big, because they're getting double the sales rather than just getting it on like Christmas time.
Sure.
They can get it then too, because it's not like, it'll be like a big thing. It's not going to like big promotion. Yeah. And, also, I think that the Switch 2, I think that basically this is happening. It's getting crammed again because they didn't want it to be crammed. Even Koo said they don't care about ZA that much. I mean, I don't know how much we believe Koo, but I think it's like...
I do agree with that. Yeah. I agree with them not wanting it to be crammed. Like, I don't think that they wanted it to be like this because this game was supposed to come out in November of 2024. Legends ZA. So it's like... I don't think that this was the original plan, so that does make a lot of sense. I also want to say that I don't think that it has to be related to Gen 10. Like, Legends Arceus and Gen 9 were not related. Like, that had no... They don't have to be, like, connected in any way. And
no, but
Legends Arceus was,
BDSP
like,
and Legends Arceus were related.
Right, but there's no BDSP... Champions is BDSP here, in my opinion, because I think that Champions will directly connect to Legends ZA with the Megas and all that. So I think that's the whole thing.
3 main titles within... I guess I just get lost because I'm like, okay, well, that's 3 main titles in what, 3 months, 4 months? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, but it was kind of like that. Listen, I'm not saying that I think that it'll come on, that Gen 10 will come out on Pokemon Day, because I mean, there's always a chance, but it's very extreme. I would say it would work if what you said, Dusty, happens, where they like release the DLC like in the winter of 2026 or something, like the first part of DLC. You know, go for it, Lumi.
My biggest thing against Gen 10 being announced here, like not even really it coming out in February, but just it being announced here, is that if this trailer, we're expecting ZA information as a given, and I think we're also expecting Champions information, and they immediately just execution style kill both those games if they reveal Gen 10, like
all of our discussions would be about Generation 10. None of our we're planning discussions and streams after the Pokemon Presents. None of them would be about ZA. It would be completely overshadowed.
Likewise, I think a great example of that is there's excitement for Champions. We saw it with when we were producing our content on covering the Presents that happened. When we would cover Champions, it didn't do as well as when we covered ZA, because ZA kind of was shooting Champions there. Yeah. So in this case, if you do Champions, you do ZA, and then you have Gen 10, I'm telling you right now, our content on ZA and our content on Champions is not doing anything compared to our Gen 10 content.
I think something else
shows the fan interest.
No, that's really good. I think something else that, and I don't totally know this, but I think something else that maybe no one's talking about is that, like, how good are the sales really in February? Like 2 months after Christmas? After the holidays, when people spend the most amount of money. I know as a content creator, sponsors, brands are not interested at all with working with anyone, right? Because they're holding their money and they're not, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're not promoting anything. They're not, no one's buying things like that in February.
Pokemon fans will buy anything.
That's true. Listen, I'll buy it, but the regular people
the majority
my niece
of
isn't
sales
getting it.
Are usually like what a franchise like this, any franchise that's big, Disney, Marvel, Star Wars, Pokemon, what they're going to try to do with each game is try to bring in new people. And so they have to be factoring that into anything, especially on a big game like Gen 10. And I used to work in fast food, and our slowest time was always January and February. And the reason why is because you have New Year's resolutions, you have the kind of fatigue from holiday spending. And so there's so much less spending during those 2 months. I think that And you hear the reasoning. You're like, is it really that much less? But I'm telling you, it was that much less. I worked the fast food, and I would get my hours cut because they needed half the employees for those 2 months and all this, because it just nobody's buying then. Nobody's buying fast food, let alone $80 Switch games.
Yeah. So basically, I have one more point.
Okay.
And I don't know if you guys. Well, you guys did talk about Anemo, that Anemo game coming out.
Yeah.
And so when Power World came out, obviously Nintendo sued them, and so it obviously affected them. And to me, Anemo looks a million times better than Power World. The creatures, I like the designs better than most Pokemon nowadays, except Ceruledge.
Really? Except Ceruledge is the best.
Except Ceruledge has this profile picture.
This is why I like you. Yeah.
Armarouge is better.
Hash browns and Ceruledge.
Yeah, but I just think that it's gonna affect them, and they're gonna wanna release it. But going back on Lumi's point, I think that it definitely is low. It's gonna be low, but I think they need to recover their brand recognition, their perception. They have a bad, terrible Scarlet and Violet just tainted their perception, and Legends EA doesn't look much better. The art style is pretty much the same. So I think they're gonna want to put it out earlier, get positive reception. The big fans will buy it. They know they're not going to get a lot of big new fans necessarily that time, but they will during the holidays that year because they're going to be promoting it all year since it's their big anniversary year.
Yeah.
I just think that it makes sense. The main reason overall is because they honestly announced this far in advance.
That's so true.
That is sus.
That is true.
That is sus.
So I'll give you this. What I think. Okay, I don't think they're gonna not shadow drop, but I don't think they're gonna drop Gen 10.
Shadow drop it.
I don't think they're gonna release Generation 10, a brand new game in February. I don't think they're gonna do that. What I will give you is that I do think something that they could do, that they did when the Switch came out, is say, in this presents, at the end of the trailer, we are currently working on the next, mainline Pokemon game developed for Switch 2. Maybe they say we're working with this company, right, to give us a little bit of promise of what this stuff could look like. And then they basically say, we'll tell you at a later date. And then what that does is it kind of gives us permission to not be so crazy when we talk about Gen 10, when we talk about Gen 11. Now it's no, the Pokemon Company has confirmed Gen 10 is a real thing. Now us, the fans, other creators can all yap about it, and it makes sense, and we can get excited, right? And people are anticipating that. So when Pokemon Day does happen in, what is it? It's July. So yeah, we got 7-8 months. In 7 months, we can actually now expect to learn about Generation 10, which is what they'll tell us. But I feel like the purpose of that is also to be enjoy your games now. We've got new stuff coming for Switch 2, so buy a Switch 2, right? Because anyone who doesn't have a Switch 2 right now is just waiting for there to be games. This is something that could get people actually buying systems. When they did that with when they teased Generation 8, that motivated me to buy my Switch. It still took me a year, 2 years for that game to come out, but still, I bought a Switch because of that type of announcement. So I'll give it that. I'll give that to you. I do think
they've done it before. I think that's the biggest point to you, Dusty, is that they've done it before. With Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, the year Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon was coming out, they said, "Oh, just so you're aware, we are developing a Pokemon game for the Nintendo Switch." And then with Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, when that was coming out, they said, "We're currently working on a more traditional Pokemon game for the Nintendo Switch." And so it was just kind of their way of letting the fans know, you need to buy this console if you want to keep playing our games. You know what I mean? Especially since with ZA, there's the Switch 1 and the Switch 2 edition. So you have to think about the average consumer, not the big fans like us, but the average consumer is going to think, okay, well, they're doing Switch 1 and Switch 2 edition, so I'm safe with my Switch. And so that's kind of their way of letting them know, no, you're not. You need to get a Switch 2.
I love this call-in show. Yeah. You can call on and we'll just tell you that your opinions are wrong. I love this.
I hope I did
want to support. I agree with what you're saying for sure. I think that that's the most likely scenario, but I did want to support him in saying that there's a world where they're we want the 30th anniversary to be the biggest thing ever. Like, and if that, because just JD, right? You made that point.
Yeah.
It's like if it was the biggest thing ever that they wanted to do, like they could try to do something like that. So it's not
to do something different.
I'm completely out of the realm of possibility.
And it is weird. The announcement time of this presents, because that's like the greatest thing that'll be said this entire show. That is weird.
I don't think it's that weird.
2 months ahead of time.
No, it is weird. I guess
it's weird.
It might be as simple as just like people finally have a Switch 2. Guess what? Get your Switch 2. We'll give you 2 months because there's a Pokemon Presents coming out, and we want to be able to sell units.
It's weird, but it's also dangerous because with all of that being said, it's very some people hype themselves up way too much over something like that. And I mean, I'm guilty of it a lot of times. Then I'm just like, I got to come back down to reality because just because they announced it 2 months early does seem insane, but it's like, why? And they could just do absolutely nothing.
It could have even been a strategic move, you know? Like, it could have been a thing of, they know how Pokemon fans are. They know that every week we go, oh, guys, I think there'll be a trailer this week because my mom's dad's uncle is a janitor at Game Freak and, you know, all this stuff. And
my Uncle Chuck.
I think that it's their way of kind of going, like, you know, it's late May, and they go, hey, Pokemon Presents July 22nd, so shut up. You're not getting it in June. You know, like, that way they kind of are letting their fans know, don't go every week in June expecting information. You're not getting it. This is when you're getting your information. Happy, good, you know? And it worked because I don't see every week, oh, the Pokemon Company privated a video on YouTube. This means we're getting a trailer, you know?